Welcome to Alpha 7. How we doing out there? I think we made it to more shows this time, sir, than we did the first time we tried this. Not
Did we?
sure.
Have we officially
Someone fact check
surpassed the
that,
first
but
one?
but anyway, welcome to Alpha 7, the Warrior's Dream. How you doing today, buddy?
I'm good, man. We just got back from watching the new Dragon Ball movie in theaters. Yep.
Yeah.
So that was a really fun experience. Dragon Ball Superhero is a fantastic movie, full of laughs and good action.
I should.
They brought my boy Gohan back into the fold, made him relevant again. So that's always good
Outstanding.
to see.
I might have to see this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's a shame. It's a shame you were working today, buddy. Because me, Robert, Watson, we got the gang back together.
Oh man, yeah, I'm upset I missed that.
Yeah.
As always, I am joined here by Seth Brown Bear Slakehouse. Find him at his OnlyFans. We'll announce that at a later date.
Whoa.
And I
Alpha
am
nerd.
Pedro, the '70s porn star. Karaskia. How you doing, buddy? I know you were with the boys. I'm jealous you were with the boys. Tell them I love
Yep.
them, except Watson. He's a disappointment. But
I'm feeling really good. Um, I'm finally over whatever sickness I was
are you
having
sure
for
you didn't
this.
have monkeypox, bro?
I may have. I
Might
may
have the
have.
pox.
Yeah.
Mm.
Um, it messed me up for quite a few days there. But I gotta shout out something with this new Dragon Ball movie. All right.
Mhm.
Piccolo gets a new form in this Dragon Ball movie. Gets
Holy
all
shit!
beefed up. Gets all beefed up. But the real outstanding feature, he gets a massive square jaw. All right, just
Love it.
boom, very alpha, if you will, very alpha.
Yeah.
And I was like, I respect that, making Piccolo an alpha nerd. But yeah,
I love that they give.
I'm
I love that they're not afraid to give the lower tier characters some love because Piccolo used
yeah,
to be fucking right in the mix,
Piccolo
and then they left Michael
never should have
behind.
been out of the mix. Yeah, Piccolo got done dirty.
He did that. He did.
Sick of Piccolo getting done dirty. But
Yeah, stop doing Piccolo dirty, guys. Fucking a.
I'm having this is a pretty good day off, just
Yeah,
chilling.
that's
Yeah,
good. That's good. When do we get the Yamcha Redemption tour? When's that happen?
I don't know. I don't know if we need that.
I mean, I remember when we started playing Fighter Z. I started it because I used to destroy people with Yamcha, and I thought it was hilarious. But the Yamcha disrespect tour continues.
My favorite thing about this movie is there's a ton of comedy in it, but they answer a lot of like really compelling questions that the community's had for years. Like, why does Bulma look so young? Right? Because Bulma is like in her 50s or something by
I'm
this
assuming
point in
she uses
Dragon
like
Ball.
Botox or some. She does some dumb shit. I'm assuming, but
No, she
don't
uses the
spoil it.
Dragon Balls. She has
Oh,
a full
I
time
remember hearing about
crew.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, she's a full time crew that works for her, going around and collecting the Dragon Balls, and she makes cosmetic wishes with them.
Is that why they
So like,
cracked and created the the Black Star Dragon Balls? Is that
no,
is that
that's
why
in
we got
GT.
Dragon
It's
Ball
not canon.
GT because of fucking Bulma? Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, that's not canon anymore. That was written
Those are
out.
the dark days.
Yeah, those are the dark days
Do
of
you
Dragon
remember
Ball.
when I
But
told you I was watching GT?
yeah, I was like, what are you doing?
I lasted 5 episodes. I can't. I can't. It sucks
It's
so
so
bad.
bad. It's
It
so bad. And
hurts.
but unironically though, the second half of GT is very good. It's just like those first 25 episodes that are terrible.
Didn't they?
Um,
Who'd they save from GT? I feel like there's a character that appeared in GT that they brought over. Or I could be incorrect on that. Is that where Super 17 came from? Is that a thing in GT? Like I thought, like
yes,
that's where his concept came from. That like
yes. Super 17 was in GT. Omega. I mean, there's a lot of characters in GT. Baby, the Truffles. Well, they were kind of mentioned before, but that was the first time we saw them. Um, but yeah, Dragon Ball GT, weird era. But I do think it's pretty amazing that we now have canon evidence that Bulma uses the Dragon Balls to get a butt lift.
I love that. I
That
respect
was a
that.
specific wish she asked for.
That is world building. That's dedication. I genuinely respect that. So funny thing about Dragon Ball, I was talking to a coworker today at work about Dragon Ball specifically because this young whippersnapper uh, has never actually seen Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Z, and he's into anime, and um, it's crazy that we're talking a little anime right now, and it's something we're gonna get into, here shortly. But that we have a whole generation of people now that Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z wasn't their scene. Where like you'll
Oh no.
it's nothing now to like go to the grocery store and see a grown ass man wearing Saiyan armor. Like
Yeah.
like that is relatively normal.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but
No, we were on the front lines, buddy.
yeah, we're on the front lines. We were there, and but then like when I talk to a kid who's like, and I say kid, he's a grown man now. He's but early to mid 20s, young whippersnapper,
Yeah.
and he says that, yeah, no, I grew up with like Naruto and Bleach. I was like, whoa,
You just want to immediately smack the shit out of him.
yeah, and he's been recommending me some anime, so he's been on the Berserk train and Parasite, which I watched a little bit of it and I liked.
Mm,
Little Tokyo Ghoul, which I think should interest me, but like I feel like I gotta go back and I gotta watch the animes like from when I dropped out that I know I'd like. Like I feel like I would be a good. I would like an anime like Van Helsing. Like I feel like that's right up my alley. Um, I used to watch Wolf's Rain back before I quit
okay.
watching anime, and then the hell else was I watching or wanting to watch? Like Soyuki 7. Uh, so there's a couple of them that I feel like from that era, like because I dropped off anime maybe around 2004, 2005. Like right,
Have
I
you
think it was like
watched
good.
Have you watched Yu Yu Hakusho?
Hell fucking yeah.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
Yu Yu Hakusho
That's
is one of my favorite all time animes. As you know, I'm a Kenshin guy.
Yep.
Um, you know what's weird about Kenshin though? I don't know how that actually ends.
I don't either.
Because
I
after there's a certain arc, it's almost like Death Note, where like after an arc you just drop out. It's almost like you black
hmm
out
hmm
a certain parts of that anime. I feel like people do this with Yu Yu Hakusho as well, where you'll have like the Dark Tournament where he's like fighting Tagoro and all that, and then like I feel like a lot of people fell off after that, but
Well,
then they
yeah,
don't realize
because
there's a whole fucking bitchin' arc after that.
but like the final arc is super bizarre in Yu Yu
Yes,
Hakusho, and
yes,
it comes out of nowhere really, and I
yeah,
was never a big fan of that.
yeah.
Which
And
is like,
do you think that's like a trend in like some of those older animes where like we have these nostalgia certain arcs and then it just kind of falls
I
off?
mean, maybe I'm not sure. Like with Yu Yu Hakusho specifically, though, that last arc just there's no build up to it. There's
No,
no
it just
like
happens.
earlier like clues in the series about anything that happens in there. It's just like, hey, here's this thing. You're all of a sudden the son of a god,
Yeah,
and you have this god energy. And what else happened? Oh, your father is like the lord of the demon realm or some
yeah, it was a
shit like
little
that.
fucking wild there. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
got a
like
little out of
okay.
hand, but I enjoyed it. So the reason I tell this story, and because this ties into why we had to delay recording for a little bit. So as we are talking, um, I, I notice I hear people coughing, and like, what the fuck's going on? And then like one of our coworkers in the hallway is just like fucking gagging, like just coughing. We're like, what? And then everyone starts also coughing. Then I start coughing, and what happened was, I work in a prison, so my office is right by what's called the RHU, like they call it the hole. It's when guys do bad things and they get to sit in the I don't think I got to explain it too much, but the officers I guess had to spray a guy with like the OC spray, and it came
Okay.
through the vents and like basically disabled the office I work in because we were all
Oh
just
no.
like it wasn't overwhelming where like you couldn't see or anything, but it was definitely like you couldn't sit there and type reports doing that. Like you're sitting there hacking up a lung. So they told us, hey, it's best if you evacuate this area. And so we went down to the gym and watched a prison wiffle ball game, which was wildly more entertaining than it needed to be. But but then when I
That's
went,
why.
good,
Well, so like you see that all these girls carrying like the pepper spray with them, right?
yeah,
And I have to always wonder. I'm like, do they really know how it works? Because if someone's got a hold of you and like they're grappling you, do they know that you can't fire pepper spray like this far away from your face?
Yeah, no, that's like
Because
that's the worst thing you could fucking do.
I feel like a lot of people don't know that. You know, like
If
pepper spray is good for like a solid few feet away at the bare
yeah,
minimum. You know,
hmm
like if you're any closer than that, you're getting
no,
hit by
yeah,
the effects too.
and the
I
effects are
always
fucking miserable.
I always say like use a taser instead
Right?
because
I think I'd rather be tased than OC sprayed. To be honest with you.
I think pepper spray could have just as much of a bad effect on the person spraying it. But
Yeah,
anyway,
I agree. I agree. And then is that excuse me? Is that a Reverse Flash T-shirt I see on you?
hmm,
Oh, a
it's
Batman.
Batman.
It looks like I thought for a minute like it was Flashpoint, Reverse Flash, and we were gonna have a bro moment, but of course you just denied me. Um,
Sorry about that.
it's okay. It's fine. But so tying it back into the anime, so I was feeling nostalgic, and you remember Toonami? Were you a Toonami guy?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um,
Of course, that's ground floor.
yeah. So was I. So I was reading like the original lineup, like some of the animes that came to Toonami.
That's
So in
bizarre.
'90, we got number 10 is Thundercats.
Mm-hmm.
Were you a Thundercats guy?
I was, but
Uh,
honestly, it was so early that I remember only watching Thundercats while I waited for the late bus
Same here.
from school. Like, so
Same here. I remember. I don't remember any arcs from that show, except but and or any really of the characters. Like I could tell you what there's a Sword of Thundera, I think, and then the little guy goes
well,
Darf. That guy, and I think
Thundercats.
Skeletor, or is that a He-Man guy? See, I can't remember. But
Skeletor was a He-Man guy.
yeah. See, they
Thundercats is
blend.
weird though because it wasn't really like what Toonami specialized in. Thundercats isn't Japanese; it's
No,
Western. So
but I thought for I ironically the article I'm pulling up it says that anime actually debuted in '85, so we were seeing it 10 years later almost.
hmm,
So kind of crazy. Second, Robotech. Fucking love this anime. This is
yeah,
what got me into being a mecha guy.
yeah,
So got a little Robotech.
of course, classic.
Sailor Moon, which my sister liked. I wasn't a Sailor Moon guy. Just I mean, come on.
I watched Sailor Moon out of necessity, and I
I,
don't remember anything about it.
neither do I. I
And
remember
then
there was a guy with a mask. There's always a guy
and
in a
then my
mask.
ex girlfriend, of course, was a huge Sailor Moon
Oh god,
fan.
yes, I remember this.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
I had to watch the second series that came out, Crystal.
mm, can't deal with it. Then we had the
Nope.
one, Dragon Ball Z.
Yes.
We had the one because I was too. I remembered Dragon Ball, but I was a little too young for Dragon Ball. Where like my uncle, who is like the deep dark villain of my Street Fighter past, he remembers
Right.
Dragon Ball, but I do not. But Dragon Ball Z, I remember. I remember every arc. I remember coming home from school, about get home about 3:45.
It's
Run to
funny
the.
because
God.
if I remember correctly, now I don't know where your list is at, but if I remember correctly, Dragon Ball Z aired before Dragon Ball
Yes,
in
yes,
the
it
United
did.
States.
Yep.
And I remember we were all hooked on Dragon Ball Z, which, if people don't know, Dragon Ball starts out as a comedy and slowly incorporates action. And at the start of Dragon Ball Z, the action is already cranked up to maximum. So going back and watching Dragon Ball is very hard
It's very
after you've
jarring.
already started watching Dragon Ball Z because it's a completely different attitude. So like I remember we got like halfway through the Saiyan saga or something like that, and then they
And then
started
we went
airing
back.
Dragon
Yeah,
Ball, and I was like, "What is this bullshit? I don't give a single fuck about this show."
yeah.
But when me and Caitlin rewatched the whole series from Dragon Ball all the way through Super last year, I was kind of taken aback. I was like, you know what? As an adult, I think I like Dragon Ball a little more
Mm.
than maybe not more than Z, but more than I did there than I remembered it being.
I would love to take that journey. I just wish I had the time. So number 6 on this list. I never saw this anime. I don't even remember it. I remember the name, but I never remembered it. Ronin Warriors.
Oh, so good.
I feel like I would
Ronin
have liked
Warriors is
this. I feel
amazing.
like this
Yeah,
would have been for me, but for some reason, just never watched it.
8 magical samurai. Come on.
Yeah, another one here. G-Force Guardians of Space. Never watched it. Don't know
No,
what that
I
was.
don't know that one. Nope.
Yeah, so we're gonna solid punt on that one. Then we have another the one. We have another fucking moment. Like this is young little Pedro's childhood here. Mobile Suit Gundam Wing.
Yes.
Just like when you say it, when you fucking just mm.
It electrifies the tip of your tongue.
Yeah, like I'm just thinking I'm getting like a half chub thing. You know what, full chub about the death scythe. Just saying, full chub.
Yes. And like one thing I will say is that is single-handedly one of the best decisions I think that they made with a franchise in all of anime
Yeah.
history was airing Gundam Wing instead of like starting with the original Mobile Suit Gundam,
Oh, I don't think. Yeah, if
because
you want. Yeah, no, I agree with
if they had started with Mobile Suit Gundam, we would be looking at a completely different landscape, I think, for like anime
you. Yeah,
in the United States, because I think people would tune into the original Mobile Suit Gundam and be like, "What is this old looking like bullshit?"
yeah.
But Gundam Wing is just a little more edgy. It's a little newer. And I
Mm.
think Gundam Wing at the time when it was airing was maybe the newest anime on that list as far as like their original Japanese air date.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and Gundam Wing was just so cool. You had Hero, like the um, the real
Protagonist. Yeah.
edgy asshole leader of the story, and his gigantic cannon Gundam Wing that transformed into the bird. And then of course you have your legendary Death Scythe Gundam, and just all the Gundams.
What a fucking legendary fucking Gundam
Yeah,
that is, man. Like I feel like it's one of the most iconic Gundams. Like, and then when you hear the fucking name, the fucking Death Scythe, like,
yeah,
mm,
dude. All the Gundams from that series are super good.
yeah. I
You
got.
gotta finish your Gundam Wing model kit
I
one
know.
of these days.
It's sitting in the basement right now.
Yeah,
Just
you gotta finish it.
ugh.
Just
Next
as
we
I have unfinished business with the two dragons.
yes, you can't allow that to occur.
Yeah,
That's a tragedy right there.
yeah.
Next we have Tenchi Muyo, which I don't remember this. I remember watching it, but I don't remember what the fuck it's about. Thoughts on Tenchi Muyo?
I'm looking it up right now because I don't remember it. Oh,
Yeah,
I don't know this at all.
yeah. Like I don't. I remember it coming on, but like I don't think I watched it. And this goes for the same for this next one. Blue Submarine #6. Never watched it. Don't know what that is.
Never watched that. No.
But then we have another. We have another one. Number one, as far as ranked, Outlaw Star.
Never watched it
I
actually.
love Outlaw Star. Great,
I
great
remember
anime.
seeing the advertisements for it, but I never actually watched it. So is
So
this the original lineup from like a certain period,
yeah,
or
it's basically a line the lineup from like the first real big lineup from like two or in first 10 anime in chronological order. Like
okay?
that's when they started showing it.
I
But
see. I see.
then if you give me a second here cuz I want to pull up like what the time slots were.
I was gonna say because you missed some absolute classics.
Well, yeah, because I think there was like Big O obviously Samurai X was there.
Yu Yu
Yu Yu
Hakusho,
Hakusho.
G Gundam.
Yeah, so let me see if I can pull it up what it was. Because I remember if I remember correctly, Toonami came on. It was like right when you got home from school. It was like right when you got home from
Yeah,
school.
like I think the first time block in Toonami was like 3 or 3:30. I know Dragon Ball didn't air until 5.
Yeah, so here is let's see where so this is 97 where they like where the Wikipedia page has it from. So 4 p.m. was Thundercats,
Nice.
4:30 Cartoon Roulette, 4:45 Voltron, another Cartoon Roulette which I'm not sure what that means, and then 5:30 The Real Adventures of Johnny Quest. That was like one of the originals. And then then it goes from Thundercats, Robotech, Beast Wars, Transformers, which great fucking show.
Absolutely, absolutely great. Forgotten for many years.
Yeah, oh my god, yeah, dude. I remember Beast Wars like because Optimus Prime. I remember Optimus Prime was I think an ape. He was like a gorilla or some shit like that.
Yes, yes,
And here's this is June through July of '98. 4 o'clock Sailor Moon, 4:30 Robotech, 5 p.m. Voltron, and our boy Johnny Quest just fucking hanging in here.
yes.
Um, and then you can see it start progressing. So then you have this. Then you have Sailor Moon 4 o'clock, 4:30 Thundercats, 5 p.m. Dragon Ball Z.
Yes.
So it's important to be in front of the fucking TV at 5 p.m. So I'm gonna scroll here and see when. Holy shit! That was, when we started getting like the fire, and then they started. This is when they also started putting the movies. So they had a movie block. This is a DBZ movie lineup, and this was done on May 29th, 99. So I'm assuming it was a marathon on a Saturday. 12 p.m. Dragon Ball Z Tree of Might.
It's a weird one to
1:15
start
for
with.
some reason we were watching the Powerpuff Girls. 1:30 Dragon Ball Z World's Strongest, followed by a 2:40 showing of the Powerpuff Girls again, and then at 3 p.m. they gave you Dragon Ball Z The Dead Zone.
So that's really weird that they did that
Yeah, I don't understand
because,
the Powerpuff Girls.
well, they aired them in reverse order.
Oh really? I've never seen
Yeah,
any
they
of those.
aired them in movie order 3, 2, 1.
Wow.
So yeah, and the movies of Dragon Ball Z are very weird too because they go out of their way to make them impossible to be canon in those
Mm,
movies, and you would they have the complete opposite approach with Super, which all the Super movies are canon, but with Dragon Ball Z, except for Battle of the Gods, all the movies are non-canon, and they go out of their way to make them not fit into the story at all. Um, so like Tree of Might takes place sometime around the Namek saga, but it's on Earth, and then weird stuff like that happens. But yeah, such an iconic time, man. Once Dragon Ball Z came over and took off, Toonami realized, oh, we got something here. We're the only people doing this.
yeah, and some of these lineups get really good. So I'm looking. This is around 2000. So this is like around Christmas 2000. The lineup was Ronin Warriors at 4, Sailor Moon 4:30, 5 p.m. Dragon Ball Z, 5:30 Tenchi in Tokyo, 6 o'clock Batman the Animated Series, 6:30 Superman the Animated Series. That
And you know what else is crazy that I'm just remembering now that I want to bring up is that Sean Schemmel, the voice of
mhm.
Goku, the voice of Generations, right?
Yeah,
The only reason he got the voice of Goku was because Funimation was the first people doing this sort of American. Well, they weren't the first, but they were the first people to give it a real go, right? Like Ocean had been doing Dragon Ball dubs, but Funimation put a newspaper ad out looking for people because like voice acting wasn't really a career back then, you know.
yeah,
So Sean Schemmel responded to this newspaper ad randomly, and he actually responded for the role of Yamcha, but
that
they
is
gave him
amazing.
Goku instead, and that was just it took off from there. He's always been the voice of Goku since then. But I mean, them bringing Dragon Ball over and at just the right time when like Pokemon was taking off, um, and we just had this like I almost want to say that they'll look back at that time period in culture as like a Japanese invasion.
Yeah, I
You know,
agree.
sort of like we look on like the British invasion of
Hmm.
music. Like there really was like a massive Japanese or Eastern invasion in the last few years of the '90s, early 2000s. I mean, and it has completely reshaped nerd culture forever.
I agree with that. I definitely agree with that.
I mean,
Um,
even like the
good.
game consoles, you know.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I feel like the like it was a golden era of like Eastern styled and imported just products. Like you just like it was just so big, and like I remember as a kid thinking like fucking being so jealous of people who lived in Japan. I'm like, this is probably amazing. All right, so here's a fucking lineup that might be hard to top for me. So you have 5 p.m. G Gundam. Then you have 5:30 Dragon Ball Z, 6 o'clock Yu Yu Hakusho, 6:30 Rurouni Kenshin.
That's the one.
That's a
That's
fucking
the legendary.
stacked lineup, buddy.
That's the legendary lineup of all time, dude. And what's crazy about Gundam is that G Gundam actually was the series produced before Gundam Wing.
Yeah,
Both of them completely non-connected to the Universal Century storyline.
and that's the main
And
story, right? Like that's like
yeah,
main line, which is kind of
yeah,
crazy.
they take place in their own universes. And G Gundam was like a complete departure for the series, where like you have these Gundams in hand-to-hand combat and whatnot, and the dub is awful, but like we didn't realize it as kids. But
No,
if
yeah,
you go back and watch it as an adult, like G Gundam's dub is so bad. But like there's something to those old dubs back then too, because they didn't have like the technology to redo the dubbing and like the mouth movements and whatnot.
right.
So, and I heard I was listening to Sean Schemmel and Chris Sabat talk about this at Comic Con when they were originally dubbing Dragon Ball Z in like these early anime. They would have to like cut the frames and like extend the image of a person talking, or like cut to their back or something like that to get the lines out. And that's why you get such weird timing and lines and stuff in like the original Dragon Ball Z, and why they really needed to go back and redub it for Dragon Ball Kai.
Mm,
Like, there's a lot of like really weird moments in Dragon Ball Z that people like have like rose tinted glasses on.
yeah,
Um, about like the and I get it, like the original soundtrack in Dragon Ball Z that we got in America is like a phenomenal
yeah.
soundtrack that has like that those metal, like those
Hmm.
electric metal tunes and whatnot. Um, and like the original soundtrack that aired in Japan, it doesn't quite hit the same. I know it's a matter of taste, but the dialogue itself is a lot better in Dragon Ball Z Kai than Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah,
So
I remember when Kai came out, I thought it was a little weird, but then I understood like why it needed to happen. Like I always recommend people
yeah,
like, oh, I want to get into Dragon Ball, like just watch Kai. Like don't
yeah,
watch the original.
that's what
Um,
me and Caitlin did.
yeah, you know what's weird? So in winding down on the anime topic, but uh, somebody recommended that like I watch Naruto and then One Piece, which I'm
No,
sure are great. I'm sure they're, but like there's so many fucking episodes
no,
that like this shit is never ending. It's like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. There's just like I don't know if, and I think are they all by the same company, Shonen Jump? Is that like a thing? Like are they
yeah,
all? Yeah. So like I just feel like they just load their stuff with such fucking bullshit episodes. Like just trim the fat.
no.
Trim the fat.
So, dude, like for anyone listening, stop recommending people watch One Piece. It's fucking ridiculous. All right,
It's too long. Too
no
long.
one, no one wants to sit here and watch an anime that is 1,200 episodes long and half of them are bad. And I'm sick of pretending like it's okay to recommend someone who's trying to get back into anime or is new to anime to watch One Piece, because no one wants to fucking do that, dude. Do you understand the journey you have to go on and the amount of time you have to finish or catch up on One Piece?
It's such a
Absurd.
time sink. No way.
Yes, absurd. You can watch the entirety of Dragon Ball and at the same time not even be a third or a fourth of the way through One Piece. Absurd. Okay,
Yeah,
and that's
that's
like
disgusting.
500 episodes,
Yeah, who has that kind of
dude.
time?
No,
Who has that kind
and
of time?
also Naruto. Yeah, you can watch Naruto. It's one of the greats, or you can read it and get a way better experience because they started making the anime of Naruto halfway through the manga and they caught up super fast. So I'm not even joking with you, Pedro. You thought the filler in Dragon Ball Z was bad. The second half of the Naruto series before they go into Shippuden is all filler. It's like 150 episodes of
That's
filler.
nuts. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
it felt that way
absurd.
because here I did watch Naruto up until I forget it was after the first tuning exam I think whichever it was like right after the Rock Lee Gara fight, and then when they're I'm trying to remember the last thing. Then they're basically chasing. I forget who they're trying to find Sasuke. I think. Like,
Yeah, I mean that's the entire story of Naruto. Like me and Caitlin talk about this all the time because Naruto is the anime that really got Caitlin into like the anime, right?
mhm,
But they absolutely dropped the ball on Naruto. So let me give you the rundown of the Naruto filler, right? It
mhm,
starts out really good. The filler episodes in Naruto are episode 26. Then not until episode 97 do we get a filler episode, right?
okay,
And
well
then it
that's pretty
starts to
good.
pick up the pace. It starts to get real. It starts to get rocky because then episodes 101 to 106 are all filler, and then you get a good stretch, and episodes 136 to 140 are all filler, and then you get another stretch, right? Episodes 143 to 219 are
Holy fuck!
100% filler. Yes,
So let me ask you this:
ridiculous.
Is the filler arc a Shonen Jump thing? Because like I don't remember, and I could be wrong. I don't remember Dragon Ball Z having too many filler episodes, but
Oh
like
no, Dragon Ball Z is awful filler
I just don't
because
remember them. Yeah.
no, because you don't remember them because there's not a whole lot of. So let me look at this up. They're spaced out well. The actual like episodes that are filler, and there's a couple arcs. Like, do you remember the arc after they get back from Namek, the
Yeah,
Black Mist or whatever,
yeah,
and like Garlic Junior comes back? That
yeah,
arc is complete filler. But like they kind of spruce the filler episodes here and there in like blocks. The issue with Dragon Ball Z is they put a lot of like a ton of filler in the actual episodes. So like if you think about like how often they cut to like Master Roshi's house and them
yeah.
like looking in
Ah,
a
yeah,
crystal
yeah, yeah,
ball and whatnot, stuff like that is all filler. And like that whole joke about like Frieza throwing the energy blast in the planet Namek and be like, you have 5 minutes. And it's like 47 episodes later, planet Namek finally explodes.
yeah,
That's because like those episodes are so drawn out. So there is 291 episodes of Dragon Ball Z, right?
yeah.
Let me look this up. 291 episodes of Dragon Ball Z. Dragon Ball Kai episode number. There's 159 episodes of Dragon Ball Z Kai.
Okay, yeah,
So they almost cut Dragon Ball in half by removing all the filler.
yeah. And that's what I need. Like, don't give me filler. I don't want filler arcs. And because the only thing I remember my problem with Dragon Ball Z, I thought, and this is probably because of fillers. Like, I thought sagas ran so fucking long. Like, I thought the Cell saga was too long. I remember thinking the Boo saga was way too fucking long.
So I actually have a special hatred in my heart for the Majin Buu saga of Dragon Ball
It was so long.
Z because I never actually finished watching the Buu arc of Dragon Ball Z on television. Not until years later did I
Uh,
actually finish watching the Buu arc. I actually read it because they continuously aired the World
it,
Martial Arts Tournament over and over and over again up until Majin Buu hatching for like 3 or 4 years. And they just kept resetting and doing it. They never moved forward. I don't know why, because the box sets were already out. They had already finished the series and put the box sets out.
yeah, I remember watching it on the box set. I didn't
Yeah,
watch it on TV because I remember it was weird. You're right. It was a weird time at Toonami. Like you would get to um if I remember correctly, like they'd get to the world tournament and then he hatched, and then I remember seeing like the Super Boo, and then I forget what the guy named after him was, and then Kid Boo, and like they got
yeah,
to the point where like they were getting ready to kill him, but then it would just reset back to the world tournament, and then they
yeah,
kept doing it over and over, and then finally my cousin just like got the box set and we finished it, and it was fucking it was good, but like
yeah,
I thought, and that's what made, and maybe that's that and a combo of that saga running too long. I felt like that saga lasted like a year. Like I felt like
yeah.
that's what we were dealing with.
Oh no, you. we're talking about way more than a year.
Well, I think
Like,
that's when I stopped watching it on cable. I was like, I'm over this.
yeah, like I just had this conversation with someone recently about Dragon Ball Z, and the run of Dragon Ball Z until they finished it was like a decade.
Yeah, that
It
makes sense.
started in like 99 and they didn't finish it until like 2010 or some shit
Holy
like that. Like,
shit.
it was crazy long until they finished it on television. But they would air like 3 new episodes and then they would rerun the old ones for like a year straight when it got to boot. I don't know what took them so long. They really dropped the ball with that. Um,
That's fucking wild. But
but
um,
yeah,
here's another one, and like one of the crazy things that I think about. Um, is it normal for some of these animes, like especially the ones you hold nostalgic, that they have a certain point, and then like either you don't remember how it ends or you stopped watching after a certain arc because like I was like that with Kenshin, like after he fights the burned dude who's like basically wrapped up in all the bandages, fucking great arc, that's where it peaked, that's the best. There's an arc after that, and whereas there's a swordsman who believes he's like god or some weird shit, and I remember I stopped watching, and then I did the same thing with Death Note. Like that was like one of the last animes I watched, and Sword Art. I did the same thing too, where like Death Note, where L dies. Spoiler for anyone who hasn't watched it. Fun fact. Like
you've had plenty of time.
there's a whole arc of that. You know, there were two more guys get introduced, and like they end up killing Light. All that, like so. But I never watched it because I'm like, L's dead. This is stupid. Like,
You did yourself a favor because
yeah,
Death Note notoriously gets awful after L dies.
yeah, and so like that's how it's remembered. Everyone like anyone who ever recommends you watch Death Note, they're like, yeah, just watch up until L dies and you're good. Um, and
Well,
then
it's
and
weird. It's weird though because like the guy that replaces L is just L but white.
yeah,
Like, he's got
but
white hair, but he's the same exact character. It's really weird.
yeah, I don't know. And then with Sword Art Online, like I fell off after the first season because like towards the end of that first season, started doing a little weird shit. Then I get some cultural stuff, but like then I got a little too. We had a couple hentai-ish moments for me. And I'm like, not really into this, so I'm
See,
out.
it's really unfortunate because I, as you know, I love Sword Art. It's
Yeah.
really unfortunate that like they did that to the anime because there's 4 seasons of Sword Art Online now, I think, and
Mhm.
that first arc is so
It was great.
amazing. It's incredible, and it really brought the isekai genre back, which is like, jumping into like a video game world.
Yeah.
And then like the quality of the story takes a massive dip in that second arc, which is Alfheim, which is why I think it only lasts like 6 episodes. But after that, the quality just continues to go up and up and up. Like, but everybody stops watching after that Alfheim arc, that second arc, because they're like, this is weird. Like, why would I want to watch this? But then it's like, okay, well, after that, it goes up and up and up and up, and
So,
then it
but why
becomes
do you
really
think
good.
that happens? Like, cause like, isn't that a weird trend? Like with certain anime,
Well,
where like, and I get maybe you
yeah,
can't be creative the entire time and fucking just spit fire. I understand, but you're gonna
the
fuck
so
up.
like you know the Japanese culture of like work is like insane, right?
Yeah,
So what ends up happening is, and this famously happened to Bleach, what ends up happening is like you get these guys that are super young and they grow up in like middle school or high school reading manga and shonen jump and whatnot. They get really inspired. They make a story, but that story gets picked up, and then they get absolutely crushed by the Japanese manga industry, like completely crushed. The life of a mangaka, I don't know how to pronounce their actual
yeah.
job title. Like, it's soul crushing, and they have like a week to get these chapters out. They work at basically the art or the pace that South Park works at, but they're hand drawing everything, and it's insane. And there's been several guys that get burnt out. So like the guy that did Bleach, he just wanted to draw cool shit. That was like his whole thing. He just wanted to make cool art. But then his story got picked up and he got offered all this money, right?
Yeah.
And then he didn't have the writing chops to write anything past that. So he wrote the same story like 3 or 4 times, which is why
Oh
Bleach is like
no.
such a joke. And all the arcs after the first arc are like almost carbon copies of each other, but like a different face. The thing with Sword Art Online was I can't pronounce the guy's name. The writer wrote that for like a writing competition in high school or something like that.
Mhm.
He was just like a a fan writer, and then people loved it so much that it got picked up. And same thing, he started writing by the seat of his pants. So I think that's why like that happens so often is because the Japanese work culture is just so soul crushing. It's not
Yeah.
uncommon to see people like sleeping at their desks or staying at the office, and
Yeah, it sounds
it's
miserable.
yeah, it's pretty rough. But I think that is probably the main reason that that kind of thing happens.
Mm. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
That makes a lot of sense. But yeah, so um like I said, I was trying to get into the back into discovering my inner weeb, so took some anime recommendations, but then like I said, I'm going to go back and, you know, dip my toe into some of the ones that I just never quite finished or remembered or got to at that era where I fell off, because I felt like, you know, there's still other animes from that golden era. Well, I consider it a golden era for me. I could be completely wrong, but to me it's a golden era.
I
But
think I think you have a golden era from like I don't know where we started in the U.S. at like '99. I think
yeah,
you have a golden era until like 2004,
yeah,
and then you have like another renaissance when Sword Art Online blows up. Because Sword Art Online was like the first anime that blew up after Naruto,
yeah, I remember that.
and then I think in the last 5 or so years you had another one where like you get like a ton. It seems like you get a ton of really good anime all at once.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you this right now, knowing you as your friend of like a decade now, over a decade.
Yeah.
If you are looking for a treat, Demon Slayer
I was just
is
about to
the
say
anime
that
for you.
that I want to that I need to check this out.
You that is the Pedro Carrasquillo anime 100%. It's just about these kids and they hunt demons, and it is all action packed. It has the spirit of Rurouni Kenshin,
Yeah.
and it's all you, bud.
All right, I'm into that. Yeah,
Yep.
but I want to I want to finish Baki the Grappler, and then the one that was on Netflix as well, because we were into that, and then we just
Oh,
stopped
yeah.
watching it.
Love
Or I did
Bakugo.
anyway. But and
I
then
love Bakugo.
I gotta get balls deep into the Gundam. The last Gundam I finished was Gundam 00, so I'm behind, like, for sure.
I can't
Uh,
watch the Gundam anime very much.
I mean, I love them. I fucking just,
Yeah. It
um,
gets so political, and I have a hard time
See, I
following it.
like
And it's
that.
just
I
not my
like that shit. I like the, you know, they plant the seed and they, you know, it's like it's a little subtle hint to something, and then down the road they're like, aha, I fucking blah blah blah, plotting on this and this and this, and I love shit like that.
I did like Iron Blooded Orphans. I thought
That
Iron
was a
Blooded
good one.
Orphans was
I
really
liked that.
good. Yeah,
I didn't finish it, but I got to like episode 7.
yeah.
So famously good anime. So now, 43 minutes into the episode, what have you been playing, buddy?
Um, I've been playing one game and one game only, Pedro. And
Lay it on me, buddy.
if the audience members have listened to their episodes, they already know it's Trails of Cold Steel 4.
Mm, yes.
Pedro, we are at the climax of the game.
Oh, about to bust a
Which,
nut, huh?
well, I imagine we're at the climax of the game. I can't imagine it gets much better from this point on,
Okay.
because I'm at the point where everybody comes together, right?
Mm.
I got everybody in my party right now.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think I'm about maybe a little over midway through the game. So if you follow like the average story arc, progression, I should be at like the climax at this point. Um, I gotta say, man, here's my issue with Trails of Cold Steel 4 right now is that I feel more so than the other games and like a massive amount of love for this game, right?
Yeah.
But I cannot figure out why. And I don't know if it's the amount of time I've spent with the series, getting to know the characters, um, because like there's so much that annoys the shit out of me about this game. And there's things that annoy me to the point where, like, I feel like if this was any other game, I would have been so mad about the way the story and the characters go that I probably would have put it down, right? Like,
Hmm.
dude, dead ass, right? Now, this isn't really a spoiler. I'm going to try and stay. You fight a girl to the death at a certain point, right?
Hmm.
She uses a lot of ice attacks.
Ah.
Okay. At the very end of chapter one, yeah, at the very end of chapter one, you fight her to the death. All right. It's like they make it a very clear we might not make it out of this fight, right?
Yeah.
It's very brutal. You know, the next time you see her, she's thanking you. She shows up just to thank you for clearing up like Jaegers on the railroad.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. What? Like last time you were like a starch villain, and now all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, thanks for clearing this up for me. Have a good one. See you guys later. And it's like, no, no, no. Put up your dukes. Like we're taking care of this right now. That's what I'm thinking. Like
Hmm.
you're by
I agree
yourself.
with
I'm
you.
gonna pick you off, you know. And like, why are we just like letting this slide? But it happens over and over and over again in this game, and I'm like, at this point, I don't understand anyone's intentions. I don't know why so and so decided to abandon Ouroboros in the beginning of the game. That there's no build up to that, right? I don't know why Crow did what he did. It's so hard to talk about without spoiling it, and I can't spoil it because this is a series that takes place 400 hours in. People could get to it at any point in time. It's kind of wrong to spoil it, right?
Right.
And it's like I just don't understand. Maybe it's a translation error, is what I'm getting at this point. I'm like, is there something going on, like with the translation that these characters' motives just flip flop back and forth? I don't know. I at this point I'm like, and also, what is Musei doing? Right?
Mhm.
Like
she's
that whole.
she's up to some shit.
Well, no, I understand that, right? But like, I don't understand why the main characters all oppose her plan because I'm like, what? And we never talk about this. This does not get brought up one time, but she's part of the party and she's like the head grandmaster of like this
Hmm.
plan, and it never gets brought up throughout the story. It's driving me insane, dude. And I'm like, there was like inconsistencies with characters in the other games, but in this one, it just seems like it's blown so far out that no one has any motivations whatsoever. They're just doing whatever ADHD task is in front of them at that point in time.
I could see that. I could see that.
That
Um,
that's my biggest gripe with the game so far.
See, one of my biggest gripes with the game, where I felt in that game you get too many fucking party members. You like just too many members. There's too many fucking people going. I felt like I was playing Suikoden into it. I'm like, all right, there's
Yeah.
way too many motherfuckers in this party. Where like because if you're like me, you have that JRPG OCD where you're like, everyone's got to have the best stats, everyone's got to have good equipment, because you just never know when you're
Yes.
gonna need a motherfucker. You just never know. And
Yes.
what this game likes to do a lot of is like, oh, let's separate your party so you have like several parties, and
Yes.
like so like and I know this game does this, so it gives me anxiety already. So I need to make sure that like my main party is the OP party, but the second party is still good, and the third party like you got to make sure everyone's good. So the amount of grinding and fucking just digging in the dirt to make sure I had enough money and resources to make sure everyone had their top tier stats, had their their arc is way that, like it was fucking a miserable experience in that aspect because I'm like, this is too much.
Yes.
But some of a lot of the fan service I enjoy, and then there's just certain moments with characters where like this JRPG does it for me because the mark of a good RPG for me is when you get to a boss fight and you reach a point and you're like, all right, motherfucker, I've been waiting for this.
Oh
I've been
yeah,
waiting to get I've been waiting to tussle with you.
yeah.
And there's a couple characters in there who really do it for me, who I love just beating the shit out of. McBurn is one of them, um, which I don't really think that's a spoiler, but and then the little annoying dude from Ouroboros.
Oh yeah. I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah, and there's a funny scene with one of the characters in your party where she essentially starts talking a bunch of shit to him, and I guess he's like, "Oh, well, I guess it's time to get serious then." I'm like, yes, yes, it is time to get
Oh,
serious.
oh, and this is the other thing that drove me nuts. That is not explained whatsoever. Is that there is characters, and I meant to bring this up earlier, but I forgot about it. There's characters that seemingly get in your way for no reason whatsoever, and then after you do that, after you end up fighting them, they're like, "All right, well, see you later."
Yep.
Like for instance, and I'm gonna spoil this a little bit, just a little tab, right? Just gonna spoil a little bit. The occupation of leaves,
Ah.
right? And when you get to the end and you have that boss fight, and he's like, "Oh," they're all like, "Oh no, I see your resolve is strong now," and I'm like, "You just occupied a town for a month and a half. No, we're executing you." I don't know what we're doing. And then like the same thing happened in like the chapter before, where you're rescuing two very important characters to the overall,
Yeah.
world, and the people that were holding them seemingly got in your way for no reason. They just did it to do it. And then they're like cool with you. And I'm like, why are we what are we doing? Why are we doing this? I don't understand. Maybe I missed something along the way,
You
but
are, and I can't wait for you to finish this game because it's gonna fucking skull fuck you. But like, just know like you're missing a couple things. It'll get explained. It will, because
okay.
like there are certain people who, like you said, if you've noticed, like when you have their intention really isn't to kill you. Like no one has ever no maybe one or two guys you run into, but like none of the guys from like Ouroboros, like you ever really get the intention that they're really out to just hurt that team? No. So like there's a reason for that.
Well, it's like, but it's
Even if you look at
yeah.
Trails of Cold Steel 3 and where they hit the button and somebody says something that like is a very telling sign of this, where he goes, "Now that's just too far." And the guy who says it you wouldn't think says that. And like
Okay.
that to me that's where they planted the seem like, "Oh, why would you say that? I thought you were just like this fucking sadistic fuck who just didn't care." But like then you're like, oh wait, that guy's never really tried to kill anybody. He just kind of is there to be a prick. Like that, that's essentially all he does. So like I can't wait to actually like, talk about this because it's gonna be so good. But yeah, I'm so happy that you're finishing the fourth game. Also, side note, the fourth game, I love that fucking theme that plays right before a fucking boss fight. You know what I'm talking about? It's called
Um.
where it's like da da
The
da 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 da. Like,
oh yeah,
yeah, that's when you know it's on. Like there's fucking confrontation about to happen
yeah,
here.
yeah. But like I said, I'm loving the game. I don't know why. It's a lot of stuff that really frustrates the hell out of me. I do love the min max nature of the game. It's something satisfying about that to me. Um, but I agree with you that there's a lot of characters, which is why I texted you earlier. I'm like,
This is a fighting
this
game, yeah.
this desperately needs a fighting game.
I think
All
there
these
is one.
characters have like no, I looked it up. I can't
Uh,
find anything about it. I looked it up. I'm like, all these characters have these super unique individual fighting styles. You could literally take all this data and just throw it to like
Arc System
who would do
works.
Arc System Works would be the
That's
best,
that's that's the only team that needs to touch that.
and like make an incredible like 48 person roster of a fighting game. And
Yeah,
I'm like, this
that game
is
would be nuts.
yes, and I don't understand why it hasn't happened yet.
Don't rule it out.
Because Legend of Heroes is like super popular in Japan, isn't it?
I have no idea. I'm assuming yes. And it's crazy because that Legend of Heroes, like, that goes back to like the fucking 90s. But like
Yeah,
again, like we talked about this, but like I respect Falcom because they're fucking finishing a story that they started like what 2010. So like this
I
is like
just
a
saw.
fucking decade of world building, narrative. Like it's like a
I just
masterclass.
saw because I'm subscribed to the Falcom subreddit that there was an interview with the dude who was like, "Yeah, we hope to have the story done by 2032." I'm like, "Okay, now come on,
I'm
we
fucking in
gotta."
my 40s. You can't do this to me.
I'm like, we gotta move it along a little bit faster than that. Like, you guys are getting a little
2032? Are you
ridiculous.
kidding me?
That's what he
You
said.
you're gonna fucking tell a what is that, a 30-year or 20-year arc? Like, are
Yeah,
you fucking out of your mind, guy?
I'm
I
like, all
believe it
right.
though, because think we're now just getting the two Crossbell games. We
When
still
did
have
Trails in the Sky come out?
I think it was like 2010. We're just getting the Crossbell games, so and that's two fucking games. Plus, now we have the Calvard arc, the Kuronokiseki, which I don't know
No,
what they're gonna call that. Trails in the I don't even know what the fuck they're gonna call it,
I
but
don't think there's an English name for it. Trails in the Sky came out in 2004, so we're already at like the 15-year mark.
yeah. So you mean to tell me you're gonna do a 30-year arc, motherfucker? Like really?
Yes, that's what they're telling you.
That's
I saw
disgusting,
that.
but I love it.
I
Um,
saw that, and I'm like, you guys are out of your
and
minds.
then there's that Trails in the Reverie, which I can't wait for us to get because like that's like the end to this arc here. So like I cannot believe that like this man or these people wrote this fucking epic of a world and these characters and like little tiny Falcom is just like, yeah, we'll just fund this till you yeah.
We'll
Like
fund this in 2032, like whatever.
I'm just like
Falcom's like,
how
we
like if you
this
really
is
think
better
about it, like
quality than most of our
how's a
stuff.
company
So
like Falcom not dead? Like
I don't know.
because like yeah, like we like the Legend of Heroes and like but I don't think it's like mega popular. Like
I
I
have
don't
no
know.
idea. It's definitely picking up steam.
Yeah.
Like it's getting more and more popular. I feel the way about
Do you
Legend
think?
of Heroes. It's a familiar feeling as to like when I first played Persona 3 in like
Oh,
2011,
okay.
before Persona 4 Golden came out. Like one
Yeah.
of these is gonna hit big, and I think it
Okay.
might be the Kuro series because that's more new. It doesn't
Yeah,
look
it's
so
building up.
dated. I
Yeah.
can see that being the one that hits.
So you think it's more popular than East?
Oh yeah, I dude. When's the last time you heard anybody even talk about East?
Exactly. and,
Exactly. I
and
mean,
it,
I
and it's got
hear,
that fucking weird name because people think it's like wise. Like, what is this? Like,
yeah.
so I feel like I feel like that would have benefited from a title change in the U.S. No offense to
I
Happy
think
Console Gamer, but
I think East Nine might be the game after Trails of Cold Steel 4. It might be.
oh, that's a
I,
statement.
I need a mix up because right now I'm starting to feel the Trails of Cold Steel fatigue, and
Yeah,
then you
you
get that
can't.
like in the
Yeah,
middle of the game, and like
yeah,
I know I can't hit the brakes because if I
yeah.
hit the brakes, it's gonna be hard to come back.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
So
So
I got to power through.
I'm real proud of you that you're powering through that.
Yeah,
Have
thank
you
you.
been playing anything else, sir?
No, I have not.
Okay.
I don't think so. Let me check my Steam library here. Nope, I have not.
So I've been playing mostly one game, Ghost of Tsushima, and I
Hit
don't want
me.
to spend a
Tell
ton
me
of time
about it.
like because I feel like this game's got all the accolades, like, but just know it's got the alpha nerd's blessing, and it's as advertised. Like every good thing you hear about this game is true. Like to me, when I'm sitting here playing it, I'm playing the PS5 version, so I got the buttery smooth 60 frames per second, and I'm like, this game is perfect for me. Like perfect. Like it's fucking. I have no gripes. I love the combat. I like the story.
It's
I'm
so
playing.
good.
I'm playing on sub mode, so I haven't even heard the English voice acting, nor do I want to. Um, so like
It's good.
I'm like I'm into this game. So I'm still on chapter one or act one, but like I feel like I'm
Hmm.
like 35 hours in because like I'm just doing all the side missions, doing all the bamboo strikes, finding all the hot springs. Like
Oh yeah.
I am going fucking in on this game, and it's it, I don't know how if they ever do a sequel when they do a sequel. I don't like how are you gonna top fucking that? Like that is oh man.
You know, it's crazy because it did get a ton of like accolades, but I feel like it still didn't get as much as it deserves, because Ghost of Tsushima for me was a game where you really understand like how much great gameplay can influence the way you play a game, because the combat and gameplay is so good in Ghost of Tsushima that it made you want to go do the side stuff so that you can
Yeah.
see more depth to that gameplay. So
Hmm.
it really all worked in like a wonderful circle, and the exploration was great. I never finished it, but it's always something that like it's a good game to go back to, by the way, because your muscle memory just grabs it and goes right back to it.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm really looking forward to going back to Ghost of Tsushima one of these days.
Yeah, dude, I love it. I'm gonna do the DLC as well, so like I'm gonna be in there for a while, and
Is
then
it
like
crossplay? You know, can
uh,
can we do the co-op?
what the Legends?
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
because
I have no idea. I haven't touched Legends yet.
that they had that co-op mode that you can
Yeah.
do. It's like a horde mode.
Hmm.
We should we should figure out to do that together.
Yeah, we should. Okay, I'm in. We should definitely do a night.
Yeah, I heard it's
Yeah,
really
dude.
good.
Fucking oh my! Like I was like blown away, and like here's the thing that was weird about me and Ghost of Tsushima. Like when I remember when I first saw it, I remember I was with you, and I think Elijah was there. Like I think that was that same E3,
I think so.
and I remember saying like I remember losing my shit. Like this is the fucking one. Like because I love as we just talked about, like one of my favorite anime of all time is Rurouni Kenshin. Literally one of my favorite animes of all fucking time. So then you give me a fucking samurai open world like combat, and I'm just like I'm in. And then when it came out, I bought it and didn't play it, and it was like. And every time I wanted to play it, like I would make excuses not to, where I was like, it's not the right time. It's too bright outside. Like I just couldn't for some reason there was a reason like every time I wanted to sit down to play it, I would just find a reason not to. It was like, but I knew this game was gonna be like I knew I was gonna be just fucking sucked into this game. So like I don't know why I was like that. Like have you ever been like that with a game where just like you're gonna love it and like but for some reason you just don't get into it?
Yeah, I think it's a phase of life thing, because I don't know if I talked about it on this podcast or Final Fan or Frame Skip, but Final Fantasy VII Remake for me was like that, where I was going
Mm,
through a really bad breakup when I played that, and I forced myself to play it to try and like get my mind off the breakup, and it ruined the whole experience for me because I wasn't in the right mindset. So I think
yeah.
you just like you have to that feeling is you're the universe being like you're not ready yet. When you're
I
ready, you'll know. And you are ready now. And
yeah.
now you're experiencing the greatness.
Yeah, because like what made me play, I was like, I'm sitting there, and I'm a pretty busy guy. Like my schedule I'm not gonna lie, my schedule's fucking brutal these days. Like as far as my Monday through Friday,
Hmm.
um, I'm home at 7 most nights, and like that's after a long commute and all that. But like I'm sitting there staring at my PlayStation 5. I'm like, man, motherfucker, you spent all this money on all these games. Like, sit down and play your games. Like, and that was like kind of one of those conversations I had with myself, like internally, like sit down and play your games. Stop just fucking making excuses and bullshit. Just sit down and enjoy yourself. Like
Yeah.
otherwise, what's the point of working? So I'm like, when I sat down and I was like, told the missus, I'm like, hey, listen, buzz off for a little bit. I'm gonna play some Ghost of Tsushima. And I fucking 6 hours later, I was like, oh, holy shit.
Yeah.
So that's when I knew I'm like, oh, this felt so good. So yeah, love Ghost of Tsushima. Another game I've been playing, and this is based off a conversation you and I had off air.
Okay.
Is Dreams.
Oh, okay. Wonderful.
And here's my assessment on Dreams. I really, really like when I first bought it. I don't really know I don't know what the fuck I was thinking. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll create a game. Like I'm not fucking creative. I don't understand game development. I don't understand what the fuck I was thinking. Like the
Yeah.
most I would ever do is collaborate with somebody on Dreams who like knows how to work the systems. Like I'll write a story for you. I'll
Yeah.
create characters. But I can't draw them. I can't animate. I can't do logic. I not for me.
So
Um,
you say you would stop, collaborate, and listen.
yeah, like that's what I would do.
He's Ice is back from whatever.
Yeah, like I would be like, hey, this is what the story is. Make it work. Like, and whatever you got to do to make it work, make that shit work, and I'll play. I'll play. I'll even play test for you. But other than that, like, I'm not. I don't understand dev tools. I don't understand shaders. I don't understand any of that shit. And again, as I get older, like you start learning shit about yourself. Like, you know what? I punt on this. So I went away from Dreams, and then after you and I talked, I'm like, oh yeah, fuck, I forgot I had Dreams. Let me pop in here,
Hmm.
and now I just check out what people create, and I love it. Like I think it's so fun, and some of the stuff people
It's pretty
create on
cool.
there is wild. And my gripe with Dreams is that it came out so fucking late in the PS4's life cycle, and you can play it on PS5, but like I don't feel like that community is getting much justice had that game come out like maybe middle of the life cycle for PS4. But like Media Molecule, to their credit, is still keeping that game alive.
So one thing I think you should try is to start jumping into the tutorials for it. There's 1,000 of them. Don't let that get you discouraged because you really only need the first like 10 to really start getting your feet wet with Dreams. And then like the rest of them are more for like advanced techniques and stuff like that. But I think what you'll find if you decide to do that, and you can do that in in a couple days or even a day if you commit the time to it. I think what you'll find is that games operate much differently than you thought they did, and that I think if you do that, because Dreams is a full engine, it operates the
Yeah,
same way. In theory, the development of a Dreams game operates the same way that like an Unreal or a Unity game operates with the lighting and stuff like that. It's not that much different. I think what you'll find is that like games, one, operate much differently than you thought they did, and two, you'll understand why game development is such a gigantic pain in the ass
yeah,
and why there's so many glitches and stuff.
yeah. My
But
another gripe I have with it. I think I told you this. Why can't you use a mouse and keyboard? Because that's also the barrier too. Where like, I don't want to fucking sit there piddle pissing around trying to tweak aspects
mhm,
just right on a fucking controller. Like, I don't want to do that. Like, give me a mouse. Like, let me use my fucking mouse.
yeah,
Like, come
so it's
on,
funny
man.
because I knew this was going to come up, and I looked it up just now to see did they finally add keyboard and mouse support because the PS4 has native keyboard and mouse support. You can use it for like Final
Yeah,
Fantasy 14,
yeah. So does the PS5.
but they refuse to allow mouse support. You can use your keyboard, but you cannot use a mouse because they said why
Why?
would you need it? Why would you need a? They said why would you need a mouse? You have a DualShock.
Yeah, that I feel like that's a fucking Sony thing. Like,
Yeah,
there's no way these. I don't even want to like. That's fucking wild. But there's no way that these guys are like, oh, let's create this game engine, but you can't use a mouse. Like, what?
yeah,
So, that's really
it's
what
crazy.
stops me from wanting to even like spend all the time because like I don't want to dick around with a controller where like I'm more comfortable using a mouse for something like that. Like, let me use a mouse. Like, it's not like,
Yeah,
come
I
on,
would say
Media Molecule, quit fucking
the
us.
basic tutorials are worth it. I think.
Um, so we're on the topic of dreams. I want to make some recommendations of stuff
Okay.
that I've played on Dreams. So the first one, Slayer Scroll 1 and 2. It's an RPG.
Oh,
A little rough around the edges, but like by rough I mean like some of the animations are a little wonky, but again, it's user created, so and I really enjoyed what they did with it. I thought it was really cool. So it's like in the vein of Skyrim. So pretty cool. I thought it was pretty fun.
okay, okay.
Another game is called A Walk in the Park. And the reason I recommend this, it's like one of those like walking sim type games, but what they did with the graphics, like I didn't know Dreams could look that good, like as far as like graphically. So I was genuinely impressed by that. And then last, um Karts International, so it's a kart racer and it plays really well and looks really good. So like I was really blown away with how smooth and how creative people got with the engine. And then in my head I'm like, how long did this fucking take to make? Like, that's dedication to just do something on a game for free that you don't own. Like, because when you make something on Dreams, it belongs to Media Molecule. Like, they can just kind of be like,
Right,
hey.
right.
So yeah, I don't know. I think every week or every show because like I'll keep shouting out stuff because like on Dreams you can pop in for like 5-10 minutes, check something out, see what the community's doing because I feel like it's not talked about. Like I don't think even like the big PlayStation ecosystem, it's something that's like again very in the niche. So I feel like we're a small show obviously, but well, for now anyway. But that I feel like we have the autonomy and the power to kind of cover this and just kind of shout it out. So if those of you who haven't bought Dreams, if you're bored, drop the money on Dreams. I think it's well worthwhile, and you can have a lot of fun with it. Then the last thing we're gonna like that I've been playing, been on the radar before the show. I had you watch WrestleQuest, like
Yes.
the trailer of the RPG, and we're both in. But
Yeah.
it leads to the question, like, how the fuck did nobody come up with this before? Like, it blows my fucking mind.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It's an RPG based on pro wrestling. And what amazes me actually is that they get like licensed WWE wrestlers in there.
Yeah,
I'm not
that are
sure how
either
that happened.
very similar, or like basically dead ripoffs. Like I think Macho Man's in it, like
Yeah.
Randy or Andre the Giant look alike. That's basically Andre the Giant. Like I'm so excited to fucking play this.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you showed it to me, and I was like, "Is that the new pro wrestling game that not THQ?
what
The old
AEW?
is it the AEW game that they're making? The old
Yeah,
people Ukes.
yeah.
I thought that's what you were showing me at first. I was like, okay, I can use some old school pro wrestling games, but no, this is like this is a whole RPG experience, 2D based in the pro wrestling world. And I'm like, I'm all about that. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, so I definitely want to as a podcast like we had talked about definitely give these some of these indie games some shine because like some of that shit is like I feel like this year has been the year of the smaller game of the under the radar game because leading into the one of our main topics like there's been a fuckload of delays. Not that I want to get into like every single delay that happened, but there's some definite hurt pieces, but a grand total of 46 delays this year.
Sheesh, that's pretty rough.
That's a shitload, and
Yeah,
and it even hit us in like the smaller space. Like, did you know Sea of Stars got delayed?
I did, and I'm so tired of waiting for that fucking game.
Yeah, like I mean, I understand. Like as we just talked about, like in our dreams discussion, like creating games is hard. Like shits can break. Like you gotta play test stuff. Like and you want to get it right. Like you want to get it right. So I'm never gonna hold it against these devs. Like to get it right. Like we do whatever you got to do. But in the same token, like it's been a shitload of delays,
Yeah.
and with that happening if it wasn't for all the delays, like I don't think like a game like Stray gets as much shine as it does because like there's
Yes.
nothing else to play. So
Yes, I
like
agree.
I feel like that game's gonna end up winning Game of the Year. Side note, but you come tell me you don't see that.
I see Elden Ring winning Game of the
I
Year.
feel like it's gonna be Stray. I would
We'll see.
me if I had my vote, I'd vote for Elden Ring, even though I haven't played it. But like I think that just how how well it was received and what I've heard about it and seen, like I can see why that game's loved. But I feel like
Hmm.
Stray is one of those like fucking not that it's a bad thing, but like it's one of those like artistic darlings that everyone loves, and like I just feel like I feel like it caught Journey energy.
Yeah, I agree.
Which good for them, man. Hey, good for you guys. But so again, back into the delays, like games that are under that will go to the radar now are gonna get a ton of shine. So like I think a game like uh, damn, it was just on the tip of my tongue. A game like a Plague Tale, the new Plague Tale. If that doesn't get delayed, I feel like that's gonna be another big game this year.
I have yet to jump into that series at
I
all.
heard it's really good.
Yeah, me too.
So like, but I feel like that game's gonna be good. I feel like Gotham Knights is gonna get some more shine now. That like they've
I
got
hope
more room to
not.
breathe.
I'm so tired of seeing that goddamn game.
I've watched no gameplay on it.
In
I'm
my
not gonna. I don't know if I'm gonna
opinion,
buy it, but
in my opinion, Gotham Knights has the most disappointing reveal I've seen in years. Because when we first saw it, it looked super cool, and then they went quiet for a long time. Not
yeah.
necessarily a bad thing, but when they re-revealed the gameplay, I was like, "Ooh, this does not look good." Um, it looks very dated. It looks worse than the Arkham series, and added like a cartoony nature to the animations, reminiscent of like a Fortnite esque cartoony nature to the animations of the characters that I do not appreciate. This
Yeah,
is
no,
Nightwing.
I haven't
Not.
watched any trailers on it at all.
I recommend watching trailers for it before you get any sort of hype for it.
Because I'm doing the same thing with Suicide Squad for next year. I'm out, like, as far as I'm on media blackout.
Suicide Squad.
That's
See, I just can't.
Rocksteady.
I don't know. Per our conversation a couple weeks ago, I don't know if I can speak fairly on any type of superhero game because I'm such a hatred for superheroes right now.
That's fair.
It's absolute hatred. I actually just talked to Robert about it. He asked me if I watched any of the Phase 4 Marvel stuff. And I'm like, the only thing I watched was Doctor Strange. Me and Caitlin watched it one night, and I thought that it was fine. I didn't think it was amazing. I thought it was fine, and I have not seen anything else except for that.
Yeah.
And I'm totally cool with that, dude. I don't want to watch anything else. I saw the trailer for Black Adam tonight,
I'm
but
excited for that. Not gonna lie.
and I was like, oh, it's The Rock. I love The Rock, but I just don't think I can do it, man.
I just
I just
for me, I'm such a big DC guy that, like, and as a DC movie fan, it's been so rough. Like, it's been so hit or miss that, like, anytime a DC movie looks like that it could potentially be pretty good, I'm hyped for it. I'm like, all right, this is the one. This is our movie. This is it.
but
And
how is
then
it not connected to Shazam? How do they make that mistake?
but that's the fucking thing. It's like a refreshing glass of water with a little bit of piss in
Yeah.
it. So
It's like yeah, you take this glass of water, but then someone slaps you in the face afterwards. It's like,
right,
and you know it's coming. It's like, God damn it! How do you
yeah,
make that mistake? How do you
right.
screw that up?
I don't know. It's wild over in DC, but I'm excited. I'm excited because, like, this like delay, and I don't know. I don't really or delay like the delay season and the drought. Like, I don't know why people are so bitched up about it. Like, it's just it's weird because when we were kids, like, the summer months was famous for game droughts. Like, the game industry basically was like, yeah, dude, here's E3, here's what's coming out in the next couple of years and the fall. Now go fuck yourself. Like, go for it. Like, we'll see you when we see you. And then we got into this trend where, like, oh, we have shows every fucking other month and oh, announcements and all. Like, it was just a yearly. There
Yeah,
was no downtime, and I just feel like, then you had these years where, like, a bunch of shit came out, and then, like, people's backlogs would be fucking packed to the gills with a bunch of games they never got to because the next release. And I think, a little bit of games drought, like, hey, this is a year that not really much is coming out, is good because 2023 is going to be fucking a disaster, like a good one.
yeah,
But
yeah. Hopefully, hopefully a good disaster.
yeah, but 2023 is
Um,
fucking so packed to the fucking gills with just big games. Like, that's gonna be. I feel like so many games are gonna get cannibalized in that year.
I hope so because if I had to guess, you asked why people are so upset about it. I think the reason people are so upset about it is because so many people bought new consoles and they feel like they have had no reason to actually bust them out and play them.
Which
I
that's a fair
mean,
assessment. I can agree with that.
like it's just nothing has come out that you need a PS5 for, and except
No,
for Horizon Forbidden West, you can play that on a PS4, but it just looks prettier on a PS5. And I just don't think that's the kind of experience people were expecting. I think that they wanted something that was going to blow their mind, sort of like Killzone Shadowfall did or Infamous Second Son did graphically.
yeah,
Just blew your mind when you played them. That jump is not there this time. You get jumps in different sort of power, which I would argue are just as important to the overall gameplay design. Dude, I made such a good decision installing Cold Steel on my SSD on my computer
probably runs fucking
because
incredible.
there is no load times whatsoever, right? I jump from one screen to the next. And on Steam, I didn't know this, but this is a great feature of playing Cold Steel on PS4, or I'm sorry, on PC. When you click the game in your Steam library, a little dialog box pops up, right? And it says like start the game normally, open the configure menu, and then it says resume from last save.
Oh,
So you can just click resume from last save, and it will immediately pop you back into the gameplay.
I like that.
So that's not like a suspension. That's a quick resume from the last save you made in the game, and it pops you immediately right back in the gameplay because I have an SSD. It's like
Mm,
a second after I click that button, I'm right back in the gameplay. No title screens, nothing. It's
love
pretty
that.
cool. Yeah,
Yeah. I
it's
feel
huge.
like you're right now. I don't know if you're gonna get a console this gen. Like I feel like you're gonna be a PC guy this generation.
I want one. I'm dying for Sony to give me a reason to buy a PS5. I really am. And like it sucks because I feel like they just don't have anything. I mean, you gotta imagine like they have something, but now see, I think we talked about Final Fantasy 16 being the one for me, right?
Yeah.
Because Final Fantasy 16, I don't think
Yeah. Square
is
doesn't really like.
coming
Yeah, they're
to
weird
anything
about
except
PC
for
stuff.
PS5.
PS5, I think it's
Yeah,
exclusive. Yeah.
it's exclusive for PS5. So I'm definitely gonna be getting a PS5 for that. Quarter two, quarter three, 2023. That's gonna take an entire 2 weeks of my life. So when the start of the year rolls around, it's going to be time to start shopping for a PS5, I guess.
Yeah, I hope that game doesn't get delayed. That's the one that'll hurt because I think this year. I don't really think this year there was anything that got delayed that really hurt me. Like it was like that sucks. You know what I mean? Like I felt
Yeah,
like 20. I don't know what it was about 2022, but I just like going into it like I felt like it was the year that's like you know what we're gonna kick the can down the road. We're gonna hit focus on the backlog. We're gonna because I didn't really see anything that came out that I was like oh fuck gotta have that day one.
yeah.
And even that's even with like a new SMT game coming out, which I didn't even like realize was coming out. So I just feel like this year was a push. Like it was like it led me to go back and play games that I really always wanted to play. So like I'm kind of happy it happened. But I feel like next year is gonna like I just said it's gonna be a fucking disaster because like there's so many games like and then there's DLC. Like how am I gonna squeeze in the Cyberpunk DLC? Like it's gonna be fucking balls to the wall all year. I think next year, especially if you have an Xbox.
I also got to squeeze time in to get Xenoblade 3 as well.
I gotta get to
Like
Xenoblade. Period.
I keep hearing that Xenoblade 3 is like incredible. Now, if you have the time, Pedro,
Yes.
I would like to regale you a theory that I just watched an excellent YouTube video breakdown
Okay.
of
What do you
today.
got for me?
Okay, so as you know, as you may not know, actually, the Xeno series carries over a ton of thematic elements and story elements all the way from Xenogears
Yeah.
through the entire series.
Yeah.
When the two people who founded Monolith Soft pitched the game Xenogears to Square Soft at the time, they had the whole story planned out, and they had 6 episodes, which would be 6 full games planned out. Xenogears was episode 5. They were doing a Star Wars approach. They were starting from episode 5. So Xenogears comes out. It sells good, but it was massively overshadowed by Final Fantasy VII. It sold twice as many in 24 hours as Xenogears did in its entire life cycle.
Oof.
Right? So Square's like, well, we're not going to focus on this anymore. Don't worry about making other games. We're going to go all in on Final Fantasy, which, worked out for Square.
Yeah.
But Xenogears became like a cult hit. Those two guys left Squaresoft, founded Monolith Soft, got a contract with Bandai Namco. That's where Xenosaga 1, 2, and 3 came from. So, because they did not have the license to Xenogears, they made Xenosaga 1, 2, and 3. Same structure story element that would have been in episodes 1, 2, 3. At least I think so. I'd have to line them up. They actually made a whole plot outline and put it in the perfect works of what 1, 2, and 3 were going to be. I'm pretty sure it was Xenosaga 1, 2, and 3.
I want to play all those, by the
Um,
way.
I don't, I don't think they've aged very well at all.
Mm.
Xenogears has, but not Xenosaga. So then Monolith Soft gets bought by Nintendo, right, in like 2007, and these guys have been for a decade now trying to tell this one story, and they haven't given up, right? Xenoblade Chronicles comes out, doesn't really seem to connect, but it has the same thematic elements to it. Then we get the weird one. Now, this video is all about Xenoblade Chronicles X and how it connected. Xenoblade Chronicles X, that this man believes, and he made a really good plot outline for that I can't really talk about without spoiling, because I think you need to play Xenogears someday, so I don't want to spoil it. But he believes that Xenoblade Chronicles X is not directly connected to Xenoblade Chronicles, but is instead indirectly connected to Xenosaga and Xenogears as a prequel to those games.
Oh.
Because he said these guys have been trying to tell this one story for 2 decades at this point.
Yeah.
Why did they create this random game that's not? Because Xenoblade 1, 2, and 3 are all connected, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if you knew that or not, but they are.
Yeah. I knew that.
But then they made Xenoblade Chronicles X, and it doesn't make any sense as to why this random game is set here. Now, I'm about to drop a bomb on you, Pedro.
Uh huh.
You know who made a video about this like 10 years ago when it first got announced?
You did.
I did. I came up with this fucking theory like a decade ago when Xenoblade Chronicles X came out, and this guy ripped my idea right out of my hands and posted it
You know,
online
you
two
know what?
days ago.
Let's copyright strike him. Fuck him.
I'm gonna beat the shit out of him.
Speaking of that, you've been saying a lot of meet you in the ring. Do you know about the Creator Clash?
Yes, I do. I know about the
We need
Creator
we need
Clash.
we need to get you in there.
I am, dude. Listen, I need to get my numbers pumped up. I will meet so many people in the ring. Dude. You put me in the ring with any of these game industry losers, and I will become like an internet legend for knocking these guys out.
We so definitely let's get these numbers pumped. Support the
They'll
pod.
call me the they'll call me the headhunter.
Yes, I love it. Support the pod. Watch people meet Seth in the ring. That's the new goal. Let's get Seth to Creator Clash.
I will quit my job to train boxing full time and to take
Uh,
joy in relishing boxing game journalists and media personalities.
oh
You know
man.
who else I decided today has a really punchable face?
Who?
Ezra Miller.
Yeah, oh, dude, they have a total
I
punchable
hate his
face.
face. I hate
Yeah,
his face.
I can't, but like,
Oh yeah, I forgot it.
they really
They changed the
bother me,
plans.
and um, because like I don't know, like what the fuck is going on? Apparently they apologized from what I saw, but
You kidnapped somebody. You
yeah,
don't just need to apologize.
yeah, like my guy, like what happened? Like that's all I want to know. Like, I just want to sit down and be like, Ezra, what happened, Papa? Like talk to me.
You got on a drug
Let's have a
fueled
chat.
rampage and
Ezra,
you were
if
like
you want to
assaulting
be on the
people
show,
and
we'll interview you, excuse me, Ezra Miller. We'll interview you. We can talk about it. See what happened, and pump those numbers. Get Seth in the
yep.
room. But yeah, like I just can't. I can't fathom as to what in their brain like it was like. Oh, my behavior is acceptable. Like I'm just gonna do as I please, and then like, oh my bad, fam.
I have no idea. I have no idea.
Dude, it's like
And
completely asinine. Like I don't understand.
I don't understand how they canceled like all
Batwoman got
these
canceled,
movies
but like the
and
Flash movie didn't. Like,
yeah,
wow.
the Flash movie didn't. It's bizarre. Maybe they're thinking that the Flash movie was actually going to make some money, but
I mean,
whatever.
I hope it does because like it's gonna be it's gonna be a dark day for me if that Flash movie gets canceled. That's a dark day. 'Cause
No, it's not though, because
as
they
a
made the
Flash
wrong
fan,
decision.
what casting him?
Yeah, they should have cast the CW kid. It makes
Ah,
sense. The multiversal character. You can cast the regular Barry Allen as the movie.
Grant Gustin can't act. Like, come on.
I think he's
I
better than
like Grant Gustin. I like what he's done
Richard.
for the character, but like that's like telling me like, dude, I don't know.
You
I
see
rank.
that CW got bought by someone just
Yeah.
recently? Hopefully they cancel all the superhero shows.
Yeah, they need to go. But like, I feel about Grant Gustin as like the same thing where I get really excited anytime Robbie Amell dies in anything. Like, it's just like his acting is like it just is like I don't know. But I get people love Grant Gustin. Like, I understand, but he doesn't need to be in a blockbuster movie. Like, we're good. I don't like Ezra Miller as the Flash, for the record, but that's who they chose. So, you know. But as a Flash fan, we need the one. Like Batman fans get their movies, Superman fans had their moment in the sun. Even though I still think Man of Steel was a fine movie, it was fine. But the Flash, like we don't get one. Even Wonder Woman got movies that were fine.
Fine movies.
Even though I like Wonder Woman 84, I'm a kind of I'm in the minority there, but uh, I thought it was a good movie. Like it was an entertaining movie.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, but yeah, just I don't know. I don't know. That Ezra Miller shit just has me like my mind boggled. Like I just don't get it. Like I just do not get it.
Yeah,
So I have to take some accountability, and this kind of as we're putting this little puppy to bed. But I'm out on the Sega Genesis Mini.
tell
I'm
me
out.
about it.
Well, so I was looking at the game lineup, and I sat there and I started thinking. I'm like, I don't know how I feel about this because like a lot of the games they announced on it, I already have, and I'm just like, well, if I already have this, then why am I gonna buy it? Like I already even have a mini, so like, do I do I need the mini that has like the little Sega Genesis CD attachment? So um here's the list. So we have this is the North American list. So we have, and these are just the Sega CD games they've added. So no, it's actually the Genesis list too. So it's Sonic CD, I have it. Shining Force CD, I have it. Sylphid, have it. Mansion of Hidden Souls, never heard of it. Ninja Strike, Night Strike, don't know what that is. Ninja Warriors, don't know what that is. And again, the reason why I'm like kind of lukewarm on Sega CD games because this is that weird era gaming where like, oh, FMV and ooh, like that weird era gaming. So, um, Afterburner 2 beat it. Outrun beat it. Outrunners have it. Virtual Racing, Super Hang On, Sonic 3D Blast, Shining in the Darkness. Like the rest of these games that I'm listing are already on the numerous compilations that Sega's put out. And then, which I don't know what they're gonna do. I don't know what the North American equivalent is gonna be of this because I'm gonna read you all the Japanese games. So you have Bonanza Bros, Fantasy Zone, Magical Tour. I don't know what that is. Turretsu-kun. Don't know what that is. Popful Mail, which is a popular game. Uh, then they have where it gets different. Star Mobile, Lunar the Silver Star, Lunar 2, which I have both of those.
Yeah.
Super Street Fighter 2, The New Challengers, why do I need that? Fatal
Okay.
Fury 2, Echo the Dolphin, Gain Ground, Fantasy Star 2, Shin Megami Tensei, Romance of the Three Kingdoms, Caesarion, and that's it. And like a lot of these games I own.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, well,
You were just buying it to satisfy your inner Sega kid.
yeah, and we're good. Like we're good. Like, we don't need any more.
You paid
So
the blood price for that.
yeah. So the reason I pose this, like, do you ever run into this where like initially you're just like really in on something, then you like have some time to think about it. You're like, you know what, I'm out.
This happens to me all the time. This is the crude reality of pre-ordering action figures and statues.
Oh man.
This happens constantly, dude, because you know when like you're super in on something and you just want to buy merchandise for it, right? And then like
Yeah.
some time passes and you're not that in on it anymore. But see, for like normal stuff, you can just buy it and then you have it and you can like, be happy you had it. But with like action figures and statues, you pre-order it and it's super far out and it gets delayed like 16 times. You never really know when it's going to come. So you end up just being like, I don't fucking need this thing anymore. So like that happened to me with the Reen Schwarzer Kotobo Kia statue. After I beat Trails of Cold Steel 3, I pre-ordered it. And then it got delayed and delayed and delayed. And I'm like, I don't fucking want this thing. And I canceled it. And now I'm like, oh, I should probably buy that statue. But I know if I don't buy it now and like, next year I'm gonna be like, oh, just fuck that stupid statue.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't know if for like a game console it's ever happened. It's definitely happened to me for video games.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, I just feel like now, especially with these retro minis, like I feel like
It's too
like I'm
much now.
okay. Like I own all the ones that I need to own. And then like you see weird threads where like, oh, let's make a Sega Saturn mini. Like we're not making a Sega Saturn mini. It's not happening. Like it doesn't
You
need
put
to
six
happen. Like
games
what
on it.
like, and I because I'm a part of some of these like gaming communities on Facebook, like some of the retro communities, and you see these dumbass posts like, "What would you put in the Sega Dreamcast Mini?" I'm like, "You're not getting a Sega Dreamcast Mini, asshole! Like you got the fucking Sega Dreamcast collection on what was it 360 they made it on,
Yeah,
and that's about it. Like, what do you like? What are you gonna buy a little mini console to play Crazy Taxi, Sonic Adventure, and fucking Jet Grind Radio and Shenmue? Like, nobody does that. Nobody wants to do that. And this is Sega Kid speaking here. Like, I love all those games. Minus Shenmue. I'm a little well, I don't want to get into Shenmue, but
burn.
yeah, like, I just don't get like what the obsession is. Are people like, oh, let's make the N64 mini? We ain't making no fucking N64 mini. What? Like for what? For what?
It's gonna happen.
What for? Why? Like we have Mario 64 literally on like it's widely available. Uh,
It,
like especially with the Nintendo streaming service thing. Like, what are you gonna put on the fucking 64 mini? Like what?
it's gonna happen because Nintendo loves money.
Dude,
And
speaking of Nintendo, you know they came out with the N64 controllers for Switch, right?
yeah,
You know those things are going for $200 on eBay,
that's disgusting. That's disgusting.
and people are
It's the
paying
worst
it.
controller ever made. It's the worst
Yeah,
controller ever made.
yeah, and people are fucking paying it. And again,
If you
and this ties back to fucking Nintendo that like this is the only company that we let get away with this shit.
oh, it happens with Nintendo constantly too. They
Eh,
always do this.
But this is also the same company. And again, I have a Nintendo Switch. I love my Nintendo Switch, so like I say this out of love, but like we need to hold you accountable. That like this is the only fucking company that we allow to release a fighting game that's control scheme fits better with the fucking GameCube controller. And that
Yep.
they actively sell GameCube controllers. Be like, oh yeah, our normal control scheme's fucked. Why don't you use a controller from 20 fucking years ago that works better? Like, are you kidding me right now? Are
Dude,
you kidding me, Nintendo?
when I went to my first PAX East and I saw the official Nintendo booth selling price marked up amiibos, I about fucking snapped.
Hmm.
They were selling like rare amiibos for like 60 or like $80 or whatever they were going for on eBay at the time, and I'm like, you guys are the official Nintendo booth though. Like, that's not how this is supposed to fucking work.
Yeah,
Like,
people paid it. People probably happily paid it.
oh yeah,
And
they eat that shit up.
yeah, and or this is the fucking like here's what blows my mind too. Like, so this is the only company that like you remember Evo before. I don't know if they're still gonna allow this, but like Evo, big fighting game competition.
Yeah.
The number one of the number one games played there is Melee.
Hmm.
So again, a game from 20 years ago that like people view as like the perfect Smash game. Like no Smash game has come even remotely close to having the popularity of Super Smash Bros. Melee. And you would
Those
think
people are
Nintendo.
stupid, but
I don't disagree, but like you would think Nintendo would be like, oh yeah, this is cool. They don't even talk about it. They're like, yeah, fuck these guys, like whatever. But they're still the
they're
same
not
fucking
making
people
us any money.
yeah, but they're still the same people. Oh yeah, these guys. This is why we get USB GameCube controllers because of
Yeah.
those fucking people that Nintendo pretends doesn't exist, but will also then put out products so to fucking milk them for money.
How can
Like
you pretend like Melee is better than Ultimate? I don't
when
get
you're a douche, like
it.
because like Melee is famously like it's a great game. Like I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh, the Melee's trash. Like it's not. But
Doesn't Melee
ultimate,
have RNG where you can trip? Like, can your
no,
character
that's
just
that's Brawl. And that's what makes people hate Brawl. People hated
like?
Brawl so much they made a mod called Project M to
Oh, that's
make
right. I
Brawl
remember that.
play like Melee. And like when people would like post videos of it, Nintendo would fucking like copyright strike them. like
Who
Nintendo
decided that was a good idea?
fucking asshole because like Nintendo to sit there like, oh, we don't want our people playing this game competitively, like we want this to be fun and for everybody and fair, So if we put RNG tripping, so like it'll lose you a match to a player with less skill, that's great. That's balance.
It's so stupid.
Yeah, or like, or
Oh,
fucking again, this is the only company we get away with. All right, yeah, we want some online service. Here, use our app so you can voice chat. Like, let's not build in voice chat into our fucking console. It's what I can't.
dude, the conversations I had on the podcast when the Switch was from their announcement to release, and the bad news kept piling out, and I felt like I was just in an insane asylum talking to like Austin and Coach, who by that at that point in time, now they're different now, but at that point in time, had
They
like
were
these
Nintendo
Nintendo blinders
apologists.
on, and
Yeah.
I was like, guys, we're talking about an app through your phone. And they're like, well, we can use Discord anyway. Like, I'm like, no, it's not okay. Stop pretending like it's okay. And then I remember because they had announced they announced Breath of the Wild originally for Wii U,
Oh
and
yeah.
I'm like, no, like this thing is either going to be cross-platform or it's just going to come to Switch. And I was right
Yeah.
because people bought the Wii U for a Legend of Zelda game that never came out.
And it took a fat L. Yeah, it took a fat
Yeah,
fucking L. I
it's like
remember, like,
us.
I thought Breath of the Wild was like vaporware for years. I'm like, this game's never coming
Yeah,
out. Which I don't know why I thought that. Like, it's Nintendo. Like, why wouldn't they put out a Zelda game? But like, and it's I don't know, man. Like that company, I just don't know. Like we've said it for years, on and off podcasts. Why we let this company just get away with this shit? Like I just don't get how like they are just allowed to just get away with it. Like they just get away with it.
yep. And dude, it's so funny because I just talked to Austin last night. We were talking about the new Pokemon game and how we were so excited when it first got announced, but now that it's closer, we're like, whatever.
It's just Pokemon
And he's
again.
like, he's like, yeah, I'm gonna wait for the reviews and see how it goes. I'm like, Austin,
It's gonna be
you're not gonna wait.
eights. It's always an 8.
Yeah,
It's always an
you
8.
know, score well. It's a Nintendo game. He's like, oh yeah, you're right. There's never gonna be a Pokemon game, a mainline Pokemon game that scores bad. It just doesn't work like
And
that.
then like on what boggles my mind is then like Nintendo games always go up in value. They never ever depreciate.
Yeah,
We're like so let's go back to the GameCube era. Pokemon XD and Pokemon Gale of Darkness are now like a couple $100 games a piece. A piece.
yep,
But then like we'll give Activision shit. Oh, you guys release a Call of Duty every year. You know how many Pokemon versions we've gotten?
yep.
Pokemon's every year. Pokemon is literally every year, but we let them get away with it. Or a
I don't
game
know.
like Pokemon Legends Arceus runs like trash, looks
Runs
like
like trash,
trash.
bare bones. There's
10 out of 10.
almost nothing. Yep. Although I will say, I put a lot of time into Arceus. I really
I,
enjoyed my time with it. But
because people love the
not a
formula.
fan.
People's like, oh fuck, open world Pokemon. This is literally everything we wanted, except it's from you, Nintendo. So like, it's
15
fucked.
years ago, we wanted that 15 years ago, and it looks like it was made 15 years ago.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, no, I'm 100% on board with you, dude. And like the thing is that I personally feel that the reason that Nintendo games score so high on a constant basis is not because
Nintendo
of
buff.
quality. I think it's I actually think it's probably because the reviewers are terrified. If can you imagine the backlash of like a reviewer giving
Trashing a
the
Nintendo
upcoming
game.
Pokemon game like a 5 or a 6? It would be absurd. Callie Plague said that the Pokemon Sapphire had too much water in the bottom, right? It was like a famous
Yeah.
meme. It's a legitimate criticism if it's 70% of the Pokemon in that game are
Or
fucking
water.
water types.
Yeah.
And it's true. In the third generation, there's so many
Yeah.
more
There's
water
shitload
types
of
and
yeah.
surfing and shit. And people will have like ruined her career. Now, I think Callie's extremely problematic. But imagine if someone gave a Pokemon game like a 5 or a 6. They would be ruined, dude.
Yeah.
Ruined.
But nobody at these major outlets, like these major simp outlets, are have the fucking stones to be like, yeah, like nobody says anything, like,
No.
and then if you like say something negative about Nintendo, you fucking get demonetized on YouTube. Like, it's
I will never get over Breath of the Wild winning Game of the Year over Horizon Forbidden West or Horizon Forbidden West.
dude, is that game
Zero talk.
cursed? Like, is that for
I don't know.
let's look at that franchise. Like every time they release, they take a fat fucking L to a game that like just catalyzes it. So like I think what Horizon Forbidden West came out, and then Breath of the Wild came out, and
Yeah,
Horizon's a better game, but Breath of the Wild, because it's Zelda, like just fucking dominated it. And then
dude, I love having conversations about Breath of the Wild with people who refuse to accept that game for what it is. I'm like, what's it do better than any other game? And they like you can't answer it because it
yeah,
doesn't do. Breath of the Wild is a
it's not better
copy
than
paste
Skyrim.
formula.
Yeah,
No, it's not. The only thing that is slightly unique about Breath of the Wild is the climbing mechanic. And I'm
yeah,
sorry you've been able to climb things like that in Assassin's Creed for
forever.
20 fucking years. And it's like, what are we talking about? The game has no fucking music. It's got a break mechanic that literally breaks people's emotionally stable insides. And it's got a gigantic, empty open world.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Who gives a fuck about Breath of the Wild? I don't understand why people like it. I really
Yeah,
don't.
people
I just,
and people swear by this game. And then, but
yes,
if you look at Horizon, then it came out Forbidden West, Elden Ring.
yes,
Like they just, and I don't think Forbidden West is a better game than Elden Ring, but like I actually think it's a little hard to compare. But like, how is it that you release two fucking great games and just take and you run into a buzz saw every time?
I
Like
have
that,
no
like
idea.
because like they couldn't have known Elden Ring was gonna do that well. Like they couldn't have been like, yo, this game's gonna fucking
No one could have
smash.
known.
So
All the Dark Souls games, they had their dedicated fan base, but
yeah, like
it
they were niche
never.
games, and then Elden Ring just blew the fuck up.
Yeah, Elden
So
Ring's fucking awesome though. It's
I need to
pretty
play it.
worthy of it.
Oh man. So, I know for the show, and I don't know how much time you want to spend on it. You said you had discovered a new gaming community.
Oh yeah. And this is I was gonna bring this up earlier, but I knew we were running a little longer than normal, so I didn't want to take your time up. But you had waited until now to play Ghost of Tsushima, right?
Yeah.
There is this gaming community on Reddit that I discovered today called Patient Gamers,
Uh huh.
and it's all about people who don't give a fuck about their backlog,
Oh,
and they just play games when
when they
they're
feel
ready
like
to
it.
play games. Yes,
Okay, I'll have to join this.
and it is so fun to see like all these posts about patient gamers talking about like Cyberpunk 2077 right now and shit like that, dude.
Great
It's like
game. Yeah.
yeah, like it's really fun, and it's a breath of fresh air, I'll say. Um,
So this sounds like people are just like actually literally just sitting down and playing games that like they want, like, which
yeah,
is a weird thing to say. Like I'm saying it like that's like, well, you're not playing the newest fucking release, you fucking
and it's
weirdo.
got 500,000 members.
Oh
But
wow.
it's not like a currently large community because there's only 981 online right now, right? But it's a
Probably all
gaming
playing
sub
games.
free from the news, hype, and drama that surround current releases, catering instead to gamers who wait at least 12 months after release to play a game. Whether it's price, waiting for bugs, issues to be patched, DLC to be released, don't meet the system requirements, or just haven't had the time to keep up with the latest releases. And it's just
Interesting.
like,
It's called
damn,
Patient Gamers.
yeah, it's really good. It's really good, and
I
like,
see
it's
it.
not
Yeah.
just about the games that people have played recently. Like, there's all kinds of topics about JRPGs and
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
yeah,
My first MMO, Quake 2. Clearing my backlog of 250 plus games. Holy
yeah,
fuck. Oh yeah. Oh wow. There's a guy talking about Mafia 1, Pillars of Eternity. Oh, like I like this.
yeah. It's a really great sub. I was reading through it all day today. There was one of a guy talking about how he's finally playing Red Dead Redemption 2, and he's
I
like,
haven't played
"It's
that
the
yet.
greatest
So.
game I hate."
Yeah,
He's like, "It's the greatest game I hate. The
yeah. There's
quality
literally
is
somebody talk.
absurd."
There's literally somebody talking about Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past on here. Like, yeah, you just finally got
Yeah,
this.
it's like a time
Finally
machine.
squeezed it in. I love that. I fucking
Yeah,
respect that guy.
yeah.
Oh man, I appreciate you turning me on to this Reddit.
Hey, I'll take
Um,
you on whenever you want, bud.
yeah, like because I feel like that, like,
Yeah,
now like 2022's broken me from like the FOMO, like, oh fuck, I need to oh,
Yeah.
this is coming out. This is coming out. Like, let me pre-order it day one so I can pay full price and it can sit in my fucking shelf. Like,
Yep.
now,
You know
now
what?
I feel like I wait for sales.
You know what broke me of that, dude, was Cyberpunk 2077
Mm.
because I bought that game out of the hype
Yeah, same here.
when
Had it day
when
one.
I didn't really even want it originally, right?
Yeah.
But then like the hype cycle hit me, and I was like, all right, I'll buy it. And I played it, and I felt like I got made a fucking dick out of,
Yeah, dude, I fucking take a
because
fat L. Yeah, I
yeah,
agree with
it's
you.
not just that you took a fat L. CD Projekt fed you a fat L. They fed you
Yeah,
a
they
fat L
fucking
on like a
and they
steamy
gave me
hot plate.
seconds, bud.
Yeah, and they're like, all right, well, enjoy this hot plate of shit we're gonna serve you for a year and a half until we maybe decide to fix it.
Yeah,
It's like, all right, well,
and
now I'm
that
looking like
sucks.
an
And
asshole.
that sucks that that's the way that game's gonna be remembered as a fucking fat
Yep,
fucking turd when it came out.
yep.
Ugh, God, that's an entire pot. Did you beat that game by the way?
No, no,
Oh, dude, you gotta play it. You gotta
I never
play
went
it.
back.
You got.
I
I
played
recommend you go
probably
back.
10 hours. I think 10 hours
Yeah,
I played
dude, I
in that
played
pot.
the shit out of that. I'm excited for the DLC that comes out in 23. So,
Right.
sir, as we wind down here, do you have anything else that you wanted to discuss? Anything you wanted to bring up? You wanted to plug?
Um, my boxing call out of the week is Cliff Blazinski. I have some issues with some things you've said like 5 years ago, and you got away with it, and I'm sick of it.
Shout out, Cliff. Where you at?
Yeah.
Start training. Meet us in the
Yep.
ring. It's been a fun show, buddy. It's been a fun show.
I agree.
Um,
It's been a great show.
Hey, gang! I've noticed that we've got some more traffic on the YouTube channel, so appreciate people who are viewing us. Make sure you subscribe, though. Give us a subscription. I can't talk, but check us out on the gram. We are at Alpha Nerds underscore Prime. So check us out on the gram.
Absolutely.
Check out our blog. I made our first post. We're gonna
I
start
saw that.
rolling out some content. Our blog is ironically called the Filler Arc, but
I
I just
love
thought it
that.
was a funny name for a blog. So um, on there you're gonna see like some of our random musings. So you'll see posts from me. And I think Seth, you'll do the occasional post whenever you feel like it. I gave you the
Yeah.
login info, so
Okay.
um, yeah. So check out our content. Like us on Facebook. I've noticed that we got a couple more likes on there, so thank you to those of you who have being so kind as to give us a like on Facebook, and of course giving us your time. We definitely appreciate you taking the time to listen to our small little humble show, and it's been a lot of fun doing this. So take it light, square up, throw down, meet Seth in the ring. Cliff Wazinski,
That's right.
we're calling you out. Have a good night, everyone. Deuces.